The world does not reward the kind. It consumes them. The kind-hearted man believes goodness protects him. But the world belongs to those who understand. Kindness, without strength, is a weapon turned against its owner. This isn't a story about cruelty. It's a warning from Machiavelli himself. He once wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose." And he was right, because love fades when tested. Fear endures. This video will expose the dark truth about why kindness makes you weak, and how to transform that weakness into something far more powerful: strategic compassion. Introduction. Kindness isn't the problem. The illusion of kindness is. We've been told since childhood. Be nice. Be polite. Be kind to everyone. But in the real world, the corporate boardroom, the social hierarchy, the battlefield of relationships, unrestrained kindness becomes an open wound. People don't always see kindness as goodness. They see it as permission. Permission to take. Permission to disrespect. Permission to control. Machiavelli warned rulers, "Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance." Meaning, people care less about morality and more about advantage. And when you are kind without boundaries, you hand them that advantage on a silver platter. Lesson 1: The predator's instinct. Every society has predators, those who instinctively seek power. They smell weakness the way wolves smell blood. When you lead with kindness, they don't see generosity. They see opportunity. Imagine a kind employee who always agrees, always stays late, never complains. Does the boss reward them? No. The boss expects it. Meanwhile, the assertive coworker who says no with calm authority gets respect, promotions, and influence. It's not cruelty. It's psychology. Kindness without strength invites exploitation. Strength with kindness commands loyalty. Never advertise your softness. Let it be a privilege few ever earn. Lesson 2: The mask of virtue. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "A wise ruler cannot, and should not, keep his word when such fidelity would be against his interests." To modern ears, that sounds ruthless, but it's simply realistic. People wear masks of morality to gain advantage. The nice colleague may smile at you, then undermine you. The kind friend may pity you, but never respect you. Kindness becomes dangerous when it's used as a mask for fear. When you are kind because you're afraid to offend, you're not virtuous. You're submissive. Real power begins when kindness is a choice, not a reflex. Control your kindness and it becomes a tool. Lose control and it becomes a trap. Lesson 3: The psychology of approval. We crave approval. It's ancient wiring. Our ancestors survived through acceptance within the tribe. Rejection once meant death. Today, that instinct still rules us. We smile to avoid tension. We agree to stay liked. We serve others before ourselves, and then resent them when they take advantage. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, because when you no longer need approval, you become immune to manipulation. The moment you stop seeking to be liked, you start being respected. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you cold. The strong are always misjudged by the weak." Lesson 4: The myth of the good person. Society conditions us to worship goodness. But ask yourself, who defines what good means? Every tyrant in history believed they were good. Every manipulator believes they mean well. Machiavelli exposed this centuries ago. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can feel. Meaning, people don't care about your intentions. They only react to what you project. You could have the purest heart, but if your demeanor is weak, you'll still be treated like prey. Goodness without wisdom is innocence. Innocence in a cruel world is extinction. Lesson 5: The exploiter's eye. The manipulator, the narcissist, the cunning superior. They all share one thing. They test you. Not once, not twice, but constantly. They start with small tests, asking for favors, borrowing time, pushing boundaries. If you yield easily, you've told them everything they need to know. From that moment, your kindness becomes currency, spent until you have none left. The Machiavellian thinker understands this and uses controlled unpredictability. Say no sometimes, firmly, without justification. Withdraw your warmth when it's taken for granted. Let them feel the cold edge of your silence. Never be afraid to disappoint someone who benefits from your compliance. Lesson 6: The Paradox of Power. Here lies the paradox. The colder you appear, the more your kindness matters. When people know your mercy has a boundary, it suddenly becomes valuable. Robert Greene, in the 48 Laws of Power, wrote, "Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear." Apply that to kindness. When you give it freely to everyone, it loses its meaning. But when you give it sparingly, intentionally, your kindness becomes unforgettable. Be the storm they fear and the calm they crave. So far, we've seen how kindness, unchecked, becomes a weakness. But there's a deeper layer, a psychological architecture that governs how people interpret your softness. Lesson 7: Compassion without boundaries is self-destruction. The hardest truth to accept is this: you cannot save everyone. Many people disguise their lack of boundaries as compassion. They say yes when their soul screams no. They give endlessly, hoping that one day the world will recognize their goodness. But the world doesn't reward sacrifice. It rewards clarity. When you give without boundaries, you create resentment, not gratitude. The receiver begins to expect your kindness, to demand it, and when you finally say no, they call you selfish. That's because you taught them to expect a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. True compassion doesn't drain you, protects you first. You owe no one your peace. Protecting your energy isn't cruelty, it's strategy. Even Machiavelli would agree. A ruler who spends all his resources on pleasing his people soon loses the power to protect them. Kindness without self-respect destroys both the giver and the gift. Lesson 8: The Currency of Fear and Respect. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. Fear and respect often travel together. The reason people obey the strong is not because they love them, but because they fear disappointing them. When you're overly kind, you remove that edge. You become predictable, soft, safe to disobey. But when your kindness is backed by quiet power, every smile carries weight. Every word becomes a command. Think of a leader who rarely raises his voice. Yet when he does, the room falls silent. That silence isn't fear of punishment. It's respect for control. Let your kindness be rare enough to feel like mercy, and your strength firm enough to never need explanation. History remembers those who balanced fear and admiration. Leaders who could be generous, yet terrifying when betrayed. Machiavelli wrote, "Men love at their pleasure, but fear at the pleasure of the prince." Meaning, love is conditional. Fear is constant. You must master both. Lesson 9: The Psychology of Emotional Control. Your emotions are signals, not instructions. But for the kind-hearted, emotions often rule their choices. You feel guilt when you say no. You feel anxiety when someone dislikes you. You feel shame when you assert your needs. This is the invisible chain that binds you. But here's the truth. The one who controls their emotions controls the relationship. Always. Robert Greene said, "The one who can control their emotions can control any situation." The calm, cold person always holds the power. Imagine two people arguing, one shouting, the other silent and composed. Who looks stronger? Who's in control? Exactly. Emotional detachment isn't the absence of feeling. It's the mastery of response. He who remains calm when others lose control becomes untouchable. Lesson 10: The Trap of Eternal Niceness. Kindness becomes weakness when it's constant. Niceness is predictable. Predictability is powerlessness. A nice person is easy to read. They'll forgive quickly, forget easily, and never retaliate. To the manipulative mind, that's paradise. But unpredictability commands respect. When people never quite know what you'll tolerate, they step carefully. This is why Machiavelli advised rulers to be both the fox and the lion. The fox detects traps. The lion terrifies wolves. Be both. Don't abandon kindness. Arm it. Hide a blade beneath it. Your softness means nothing until they've seen your steel. Lesson 11: The Dark Mirror. Look around you. In workplaces, relationships, politics. Notice who rises. It's rarely the kindest. It's those who know when to stop being kind. The dark mirror principle is this: whatever trait you overuse will be weaponized against you. Are you patient? They'll waste your time. Are you forgiving? They'll hurt you twice. Are you kind? They'll feed off you. The key is self-awareness. See yourself as others do, a mirror reflecting their opportunities. Then shatter that mirror. Kindness is a weapon only when it's sharpened by awareness. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Your unconscious desire to be the good one is exactly what keeps you powerless. Lesson 12: The Shadow of the Saint. The saint believes the world will notice his virtue. The realist knows the world notices only results. There's a reason Machiavelli was feared by moralists. He stripped away illusions. He forced people to see how human nature truly operates, not how it should. People act in self-interest. They respect strength. They exploit compliance. So what do? You merge two opposites, kindness and dominance. You become the saint with fangs. Smile but calculate. Help but never at your own expense. Forgive, but remember. They should feel your warmth, but never forget your fire. The world doesn't need more kindness. It needs people who know when to use it. You now understand the architecture of power beneath kindness. How people interpret softness as weakness. How emotional control bends reality. And how strategic unpredictability earns respect. But we're not done yet. Lesson 13: The Power of Selective Mercy. Mercy is powerful precisely because it is rare. When you forgive too easily, forgiveness loses its meaning. When you help everyone, your help becomes cheap. The strong are not cruel. They are discerning. They know when to show compassion and when to let silence deliver the lesson. Think of ancient generals. Julius Caesar was known for his mercy, but only after victory. He never offered it while his sword was still drawn. Mercy given before respect is earned breeds rebellion. Mercy after power is established breeds loyalty. Let your kindness arrive on your own terms, never when others demand it. Strategic mercy is what separates the ruler from the servant. It turns your kindness from weakness into authority. Lesson 14: The Law of Emotional Distance. There's a law most people never learn. Closeness without control breeds contempt. When you make yourself too available, too emotionally open, people stop valuing your presence. The same happens in love, friendship, and leadership. Familiarity breeds comfort. Comfort breeds carelessness. This is why true leaders maintain emotional distance. They reveal just enough to inspire loyalty, but never enough to be predictable. Machiavelli advised princes to appear approachable, but never ordinary, because once you're seen as just like everyone else, you lose the aura that commands respect. Be close enough to be admired, but distant enough to be obeyed. Emotional distance isn't coldness. It's a boundary carved by self-respect. Lesson 15: The Silent Advantage. Power speaks softly. The loudest one in the room is rarely the strongest. He's compensating for something missing inside. Silence is unsettling because it forces others to reveal themselves. It creates psychological pressure. When you're kind but quiet, people start projecting their fears and insecurities onto your silence. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you truly see. That mystery gives you control. The great strategist Sun Tzu said, "Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak." Silence is the weapon that hides both. Your restraint terrifies more than your rage ever could. Practice quiet observation. The less you speak, the more your words matter when you finally do. Lesson 16: The Art of Controlled Kindness. Controlled kindness is the mastery of power disguised as grace. It's when you can smile with genuine warmth, while knowing exactly what boundaries protect that warmth. You don't owe everyone access to your good nature. You give it strategically, as a reward for respect, not as an invitation to take advantage. Controlled kindness turns empathy into influence. It makes people want your approval, because they know it's earned, not given freely. Think of the mentor who is kind but demanding. Their praise means something, because it's rare and real. That's what controlled kindness feels like. A currency of respect. Never stop being kind. Just become impossible to manipulate. Lesson 17: The Mirror of Power. Every interaction you have is a mirror. You teach others how to treat you, by what you tolerate, by what you allow. When you respond with endless patience, you teach them that your time has no value. When you forgive without consequence, you teach them that your trust has no price. But when you respond with quiet strength, when your silence replaces your explanation, and your absence replaces your argument, they learn. Machiavelli said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Your environment is a reflection of your boundaries. If it's filled with chaos, you've been too kind for too long. Raise your standards, and the wrong people will remove themselves." Lesson 18: Turning darkness into discipline. Now we enter the heart of transformation. Darkness is not evil. It's awareness, the ability to see reality without filters. To understand that people are selfish, that power shapes perception, and that emotion blinds judgment. When you accept these truths without bitterness, you become unshakable. Discipline is how darkness becomes strength. You act with purpose, not emotion. You choose kindness with precision. You never react, you decide. The disciplined mind is the final form of power. Carl Jung taught that wholeness is not achieved by ignoring your shadow, but by embracing it. Your shadow, your capacity for coldness, assertiveness, and control, is not your enemy. It's your guardian. Learn to use it, and you'll never again mistake kindness for weakness. So far, you've seen every angle. How the world tests your softness, how manipulators exploit the kind, and how the wise turn compassion into control. But all these lessons lead to one ultimate truth, a final shift that separates the powerless from the powerful. It's not about rejecting kindness. It's about redefining it. Final lesson: redefining kindness. From weakness to weapon. This is where everything changes, where kindness stops being your weakness and becomes your weapon. The problem was never kindness itself. It was blind kindness. The kind person gives without awareness. The powerful person gives with precision. The kind person says yes to avoid discomfort. The powerful person says no to preserve control. The kind person forgives to keep peace. The powerful person forgives to create peace. One is emotional. The other is strategic. The difference between weakness and wisdom is awareness. Machiavelli didn't despise kindness. He distrusted naivete. He understood that power requires both the heart of a saint and the mind of a ruler. To rule others, or even your own emotions, you must first understand human nature in all its contradictions. People respect those who make them feel safe, but they follow those who make them feel secure through strength. That's the dark truth. The shift from goodness to gravity. You don't have to stop being good. You just have to become gravitational. When your kindness is backed by boundaries, people orbit you naturally. They adjust their tone. They weigh their words. They think twice before crossing you. Because you're not nice. You're centered. You've built an inner gravity, the kind that pulls respect from the world, without begging for it. Kindness backed by strength becomes influence. Kindness without strength becomes invisibility. When you carry both warmth and power, you stop chasing validation. Instead, the world adjusts to your energy. This is what Machiavelli meant when he said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. You are both, a calm lion, a calculating fox, and your kindness is the crown you choose to wear, never the leash around your neck." Real-world reflections. Look at the world's most respected figures. Leaders, thinkers, creators. They're not the loudest, not the cruelest, not even the most moral. They're the ones who learned when to give and when to withdraw. They mastered emotional equilibrium. Their kindness carries consequences. Their compassion carries control. Nelson Mandela forgave his captors, but never forgot their motives. Marcus Aurelius ruled with mercy, but never surrendered his authority. And Machiavelli himself, often misunderstood, never said to abandon goodness. He warned to govern it. The man who controls his kindness controls his destiny. That's why the strong are calm. Their emotions are servants, not masters. Their empathy is measured, their silence deliberate, their kindness earned. The Machiavellian Creed. If Machiavelli were alive today, he'd tell you this: be kind, but only from a position of power. Be compassionate, but never at your own expense. Be loyal, but only to those who prove their worth. Because power without mercy becomes tyranny, but mercy without power becomes tragedy. True strength lies in balance, the ability to hold both fire and water in your hands, without letting either consume you. Be the calm storm, the one who can heal or destroy, but chooses neither until necessary. That's what it means to walk the line between light and shadow, to use kindness not as surrender, but as strategy. Closing reflection, the final test. Ask yourself this question: who are you kind to? Because that answer reveals everything. If you are kind to everyone, you are at risk of being consumed. But if you are kind selectively, to those who respect your energy, your time, your vision, then your kindness becomes a force multiplier. You will notice something incredible happens. The people who truly value you rise closer. The ones who fed off your softness fade away. That's evolution, not loss. It's the shedding of false peace for genuine power. When you stop trying to be liked, you start being remembered. And that is the foundation of every great mind that ever ruled its own world. From Machiavelli to Marcus Aurelius, from Robert Greene to Carl Jung, they all arrived at the same truth. Self-mastery is the highest form of power. Kindness must flow from control, not from fear of rejection. The man or woman who can say no without guilt, yes without fear, and enough without apology, is already untouchable. The dark truth isn't that kindness makes you weak. It's that the world mistakes kindness for weakness, until you teach it otherwise. The strong don't stop being kind. They simply stop being easy. So walk with grace, but carry authority. Smile, but see through everything. Give freely, but only to those who would never take without asking. Be kind, but let them feel the steel behind your calm. Because in the end, as Machiavelli said, he who builds on the people builds on mud. Build on strength instead. Build on awareness. Build on power rooted in self-respect. And then, when you choose to be kind, your kindness will move nations. Summary. 1. Kindness without strength invites exploitation. 2. The mask of virtue hides fear. 3. Approval-seeking is the root of manipulation. 4. Goodness is often a social illusion. 5. Exploiters test your boundaries always. 6. The paradox. Coldness gives warmth its value. 7. Compassion without limits destroys the giver. 8. Fear and respect are twin forces of power. 9. Emotional control equals dominance. 10. Predictability equals weakness. 11. Overused traits become weapons against you. 12. True power is kindness with teeth. Don't stop being good. Just stop being used. If this message spoke to you, don't just watch it. Live it. Become the one who leads with controlled fire. The one who forgives without forgetting. The one who turns kindness into command. Because only then will you understand what Machiavelli really meant. Fortune favors the bold, but respects the cold.